Another morning again inside we had. Plenty things then they happen. I wonder how sneeze again what go here today. But this be small country we had. Anyway, before I go to the wahala now we had, let's just go to my kitchen and check my colors.
Yes, colors. Some man really like for eat in the morning. Some people say them just like when they eat don't sleep. Other people say na the cow they like, especially when they cook the soup or plasas where they like pass all. So now that make we dey bring to you this program wey we call Colres, as we dey look at different story dem na the front page and inside the newspaper. So no forget to join we 8 a.m. salute.
Alright, good morning, and welcome to another beautiful edition of a program where we call Colres right on we are now YouTube and on Facebook. Yes, we don't come today, and today we go back to a normal, style of the program Colres, where normally we can try to see how best we can bring to you the different papers them where we can get inside inside the country. And different paper them don't come out for today where we can look at them quick one for see waiting day inside it. And of course, after we don't read to you now the front page of the paper then we go as well go to we guest inside the program. And inside the program this morning we get a guest, and a guest where you be always done the guest, and guest this way most of una can appreciate so much where it can be inside the program. And of course Monday na in your time down the way it can come on for we talk about the different issues that where they come from the different newspaper them. So a name na Melvin Tijaman say we go join me inside the program, today after we don't actually look at the different papers them. So first we go into the different papers them where we don't get inside the program this morning. We start with the Calabash newspaper where now the first pick for this morning. The Calabash newspaper gets banner headline we say is it China aid construct first foreign service academy in Sierra Leone. Official launches clean energy initiative. New Chinese ambassador informs President Bio of appointment and assures cordial bilateral ties. NP Sierra Leone is keen on continuing to optimize customer care in 2023. Koi Do Limited support 16th day of activism campaign in Connaught, and Supreme Court to commence adjudication of PR system case today. This is another story there for you inside the Calabash newspaper. The second one at the Indigenous newspaper we say Pega Gin Saket found in Sierra Leone breweries sealed more time premium beer. And then you get winner of UBA Foundation 2022 National Essay Competition receive 100,000 new leons. You get a Sierra Main Bauxite Sierra Leone Limited leaves 500 employees unpaid, and again Leosem determines to deliver more. This is another story for you inside the Indigenous newspaper for this morning. And the next one for this morning are the Camboy newspaper. The Camboy newspaper get a banner headline where say as Honorable Alusai Kane woes investors. Bravura Gold Mining unveils over 4 million equipment, and the CIU acts tough on cyber fraud. This is another story in the Camboy News Times newspaper this morning. And the next one at the Night Watch newspaper we say 24th June 2023 I will go, declares Bio. Okay, blame shifting 101. Corruption increased significantly after Bio took power. Africanist president quote. This is another story for inside the Night Watch. And the next one at the Independent Observer newspaper we say Bio Commission First Foreign Service Academy. And then you get PR case at Supreme Court today. Get not everyone living with epilepsy gets access to care. This is another story for you inside the Independent Observer newspaper. And the next one for this morning are the Northern Star. The Northern Star International say thousands flood Kabbalah, Lamabari to boost tourism. And you get you get vote for Hassan Victor Kande for chairman Koinadugu APC veteran. And you get the life and times of Philip Neville. This is another story for you inside the Northern Star. Next pick for this morning are the Success newspaper. The Success newspaper say Edward Alpha extolled for supporting community development in Kono. And you get police investigate shooting at Lagunda Second Car Park. And then you get Dr. Kaifala Mara launches Vision of New Hope. Kono decorates Jihad Basma. And you get Minister of Trade signs 4 agreements. This is another story for you inside the Success newspaper for this morning. And the next pick for this morning are the Modern Series. We say 2021 Auditor General report. ACC chief promised tougher action against defaulters. And you get President Bio Commission first. Foreign Service Academy. You get Cotton Tree Foundation feeds children, patients at Nixon Hospital in Chebwema. You get Energy Minister connect Koidu Holdings to CLSG grid. This another story for you inside the Modern Seas. The next pick for this morning are the news source. The source newspaper where say President Bio Commission first Foreign Service Academy. You get as Honorable Alusai Kamara was investor. Bravura Gold Mining unveil over $4 million equipment. And you get as retails pump price now at 1950. Government transfers gains on oil prices to consumers. And 12 farmer chiefs commend President Bill. This another story for you inside the Source newspaper. And of course, again, Information Minister launches AfriCell Clean Energy Initiative. And you get Tourism Minister unveil Caribbean Parade in Freetown. Well, this story actually don't pass now. Well, you get this another story there for inside the paper this morning. You get Global Times this morning say new finance minister appointed. You get thanks Professor Philip Kano. Majoro gets Solar Night. And Bravora Sierra Leone Limited imports mining equipment worth $4 million. Energy Minister connects Koidu Limited to CLSG Grid. And you get Tumagento Kamara continue to rise and shine. 100 most reputable Africans. And they get China Aid construct first foreign service academy in Sierra Leone. This is another story for inside the Global Times newspaper. AZ newspaper say commissioning foreign service academy President Bio fulfills page 70 of New Direction manifesto. And you get SMED Smeda and claims 91% loan recovery rate. ACC to probe MDAs named in 2021 audit report. Multi-million-dollar mining investment. Honorable Kane set to provide jobs for hundreds of Sierra Leoneans. And you get Dr. Jackson Blamo uplift youth through musical empowerment. You get Supreme Court presides over PR matter today. NACSA transformed to an enviable service provider. Commissioner Dr. Anna Isata McCarthy assets. This is another story for you inside the AZ newspaper. And the next paper for this morning, the Awoko newspaper, where say as it declares for APC Secretary General, Lansana Doumbia says he is the choice of the grassroots. And you get SLP intensifies operation at Hillside Bypass Road. You get 2022 has been a challenging one for the APC Alhaji Usman Yansane. Chinese Aid Diplomatic Academy open for operation. This is another story for you inside our newspaper. And the last paper for this morning, now the Concord Times newspaper. The Concord Times newspaper gets, you used to read them. The first page say, more divorce. I like this story. More divorce registered in 2022. And you get China Aid construct first foreign service academy in Sierra Leone. You get 21 years of Sierra Leonean 21-year-old Sierra Leonean explain journey of becoming a pilot. And you get Bra as deputy chief. Whip Rose investment Bravo Gold Mining unveils over $4 million equipment, and Sierra Leone records over 9,000 road accidents in 2022. This is another story for you inside the Concord Times newspaper. And the paper that this one we get inside the program this morning. And of course, like I've been telling you, we actually don't get we don't join we inside the program. We na Melvin Tijan Mansare. We na the parliamentary resident reporter. We actually don't join we follow we talk about different issues them inside the program this morning. Well, I want to say Melvin, how are you? Melvin, you don't come, you there with me? Happy New Year, happy New Year, Melvin Tijan Mansare.
I want to wish you and we subscribers all across the world the same of best of wishes. We hope that this year will bring me all the goodies.
Okay, so one more time we want to say welcome. How did 2022 be actually tally?
Well, 2022, on a personal note, for me, I would say I tell God thank you. On a general note, it has been a mixed bag of realities. So we don't see some positive things that will be happening, and we see some negative things will be happening. But generally, I think we should say thanks be to God for His grace and mercy.
Right, I like the fact that we all, now manager the right now. You just go for say tell God thank you for waiting to happen, and I think we don't see another day, another year, so that they great for something as we talk. So we get different news them from family members them. Other go say hey, we get married, other go say I born picking, other go say this don't die, other go say this they married, all of them things, and so the story continue and the circle still they go round and round and round. So and as soon as we get for say tell God thank you until we own themselves reach one day. Anyway, so we go now inside the first paper inside the morning. But I think I don't get anything but your own side. But that's deliberately I go do one before I go to the first paper. I will be on tally for Parliament. From January to December 2022.
Well, we don't be characterized with one of many confirmation of presidential nominees. One way approve the budget. One way pass several progressive laws, repeal libel, repeal death penalty, create new universities, and the likes. But on the low light, here we see unique fights, and the last of which we will all be seeing for do with regards to the PR and census and all of those issues. So if you look at that also on the negative side, for Parliament, we yet for due diligence on the Auditor General's report. In Parliament, we, as we stand, don't pass judgment before an investigation be conducted on 3 members of Parliament who currently under suspension. And if they miss, as Parliament they resume tomorrow after the sittings, their life in Parliament is over. But again, I guess the context of a Parliament where we go on a recess by April, and certainly that makes the calendar for Parliament very overwhelming. But generally, I think it will be a mixed bag of reaction as to how Parliament will done for 2022. For 2023, I think the big issue is the PR and the impact will cause to members of Parliament who will come or not come outside the general elections. Indeed, therefore, all as stated.
We actually can look inside the PR because we understand say for sit on that particular case they within a court today. So we can talk is small bits no more. But I'll go to the first paper for this morning. And before I go to the first paper, Melvin, you see Melvin, I don't copy you today. In fact, me necktie, na me west na not I not sabi. Me all thing we I put on so now for me web. So I think it say I need for look very, very smart on a Monday morning. So I have to say I think that it make I look feel different. Cowboy and serviceman, I'm not used to learn business there. Anyway, so thank you very much. I appreciate that you actually make I get this kind of looks this morning. Yeah, I feel good anyway. All right, so go to the.
Is part of our job.
Yes. Me like the jumbo part of the job.
you are more breaches.
Yeah. So today, I really want for that look this guy way. Anyway, we go to the paper them this morning. we start with the last paper I review, and when are the first paper we go take Congo Times. You say more divorce, you know, more divorce registered in 2022. Thank God, me own are not divorced, and I need to think of that myself. Thank God, it just they make her look this guy young. So what do you think about this? More divorce. What if it's any cause divorce?
Well, for me as a married man, I will tell you, say, the experience as to why divorce they occur, the cases they're different from person to person.
Mm-hmm.
But one big issue making they at the heart of divorce, the one are jealous, who side mistrust don't pass mark. And another one, you will begin consider the economic times. If you're a man, you used to put it on the table, and now you know you're gonna offer and they for put her, you actually put them. Not many other partner they can be at that. But also the man themselves, some of the man that we are them full of tumors. And most of the sisters in these days not able to be like passive and not able to marry to NGOs. Similarly, on the other hand, we get some of the sisters then they run for marriage, say they run the game, but they are not ready to make up their mind or over the game. So there could be many reasons, but for the fact that we are recording divorces, well, it means say that ministry is doing that department they do their work. But now all divorce with the register, you know, we get some of different types of marriages, and I'm sure the marriages that we will keep track of divorce on, and then civil marriage, then church marriage, and things like that. But for other forms of marriages, person can just put in cooler back and put more money, say me I don't sell this marriage. So are we getting the figures right on divorce? Although yes, we are on track that we are keeping track on that. And what do you mean for the social
Yeah, because
order
this one says where I
it
see.
gets a lot of impact on family because mind you, most marriages can break up after they cannot make kids. And what we don't see in a salon, where they cause a lot of social disorder, and most of them picking and they raised by single parents and making most of them be the woman then and few times be the man. So most of them and they you see some picking and it's gone through the make talk in the street, make gangster, it's all into all those things. It all boils to the home and how families they only keep the home together and how they don't scatter and how they manage their scatter.
Okay, so for meeting I see, like, I will just go through because this one actually now from the register we didn't get for the year. But as then they talk about more divorce, na 25 the record. We mean say 25 yes 25 the record for this year. We mean and if you watch we don't get more divorce we all man don't go your way but they know the record them at all. So but them waiting in the official na 25 and for them that they really boku.
Well 25 if you want to say boku if you do a comparative analysis as to the number of marriages registered.
And they as well do a comparison about with regards to year them how much then can register. For example, then go register in 2021, 2022, the number of divorce them. So this one are the highest way they don't get.
But against what's benchmark?
Well, I don't know. Okay, let's just read because
benchmark they are pegging it.
This one basically they try for give you the statistics. They don't actually give you, you know, as to rating. They just try for see, for example, 2021 they get 2022 then get 25, 2020 or 2019 then get this. Now something like that they then just look. They not look at the way divorce as against the way marriage. But let's read something quick one. They say 25, yes, 2022 published by the National Civil Registration Authority (NACA) indicates that a total of 25 divorce. Sorry that it escaped me. Okay, 24 divorce were registered by the authority for the period under review, of which Christians marriage accounted for 40%, Islam or Muslim marriage 30%, customary 16%, and civil marriage 2%. There was 67% increase in divorce in 2022 as compared to 2021. Just that they say. Then in the actual say the report of indicated that 190,666 births were registered in 2022, comprising 94,486, you know, males, and 49.6%, and 96,180 females, 50.4% of this report population. So basically, this now waiting and get the population. Let's just say that the struggle for you that because they find a small. Population a total of 170,712 births were registered with proportion of 84,314 males and so basically this are thing are the births and deaths and therefore tell you about the figures them. But I just wish you know they can register and I will begin get electronically, for let we know the struggle again of how it are like with regards almost born and almost died. But this now so far waiting the record for 2022.
Yeah, I'm trying thank you to them for keeping the records. But back to it, you and the theme we discussed, when they say more diverse. I think say they're providing the threshold in setting that benchmark because when one can talk something say or create an allusion say we see diverse now don't go cool. If we are using that analogy say diverse don't go cool, we forget the background against almost people and be married, Christian, Muslim, civil. And all the one over there outlined too. But outside that benchmark they missing, I think they may go be very careful for talk say that proportion they don't show an increase because the data set's not complete. However, since that they don't see and they don't keep track on other record, then we encourage them for continue for do so and widen them benchmark. But definitely there are issues now, and yes, marriages them and homes them then don't collapse. And the reasons can vary from person to person. But for the marriage collapse, all therefore do is how the start and waiting change along the line.
Yeah.
So it's not an easy road. It's not an easy road. Like you say, that marriage was sweet now from Bachelor's Eve. But now the reality see some Bachelor's Eve can sweet, but along the line things can change. So I think it takes the grace of God too for maintaining, because man and woman they come up from different backgrounds. Some people can say when are they in courtship it can sweet. One are going to matrimony and the same two colors in the show out. But again, naturally God ordained, so you get blessing. And as journalists, I think so we'll look at the root causes behind then divorce the day and see whether we get institutions for cancel people then and whether religious institutions then they do much in mending homes rather than breaking them, and whether society itself they offer enough for the people and go enough incentive for the people and married. Because from where if we do a survey on the Paranko versus the married man, there will be an interesting result for winners and I don't know for Una Obade. So we get a lot for land if we want to talk about then things like marriage. A very sensitive subject there.
I think Latina and we go interesting for let we do a survey on Loki. Anyway, let me go to another thing very important for the year 2022. They say Salon record over 9,000 road accidents in 2022. This is a boku accidents, and we don't see on social media every day. People and they damage, people and they die. A lot of things that they happen with regards to accidents. But as a journalist, we don't study their situation and they don't watch how things they happen. What do you feel say can actually lead to some of them things there? Because me, maybe they apply that particular road and they see overspeeding. In my observation, overspeeding, lack of road signs. And some side even when road signs some of the drivers they don't even understand waiting the road signs like. Waiting at this road sign. If you see this sign for say for example 60, some of we can just be pass number 60, 70, 90. We don't even know what it's like. We just feel say na number they right. We don't know say this 60 for pass this 60 in terms of how you press, you for go below this amount, nothing. Most of the drivers they don't even understand things and this. So what do you think with regards SLRSA when they give license, they put road signs and all things? What do you feel saying are the missing point or the missing link?
I think the missing link now the lack of enough road user education on the parts of let's say pedestrian, on the parts of motorists, on the parts of drivers, all of those things. I think we need more education on how to use the road. Now free and a common thing for the people that work on accidents. That in itself can cause accidents. And as you rightly mentioned, even the infrastructure themselves, for example, the new bypass road, get speed bump. The other day I used bike and they almost bang one picking because of the road. It's so fresh, it's so new, infrastructurally a big development. If you know the salon, you can see them. But if you don't give them indications then for speed, you don't give them things like speed bump and risk. But again, we don't see the human factors, one of which now we don't see substance abuse. So then we'll be talking about things like then jamba, but now we don't get the big man when I push. If driver don't take push, Of course, the tendency for let you go and get accidents is great. We don't take bike. When the bike man, we almost go and sleep. I get for canon. We don't need nights up at them go work because as you see this, that inside what's how we do. So if the first way they guide you or they drive you, they're under influence of alcohol or substance, that's a risk to person when they use the road. But of course, over speeding, the police will tell you say now another thing. Then we get several unworthy road vehicles than I am. If you see smoke, you ask waiting in vehicle and then you do that road. So you come back to the SLIA, the SLISA, the SLITC. They all get a duty for play, and nobody has them. Always decent duty on the question in terms of effectiveness. And the other day, I remember in a parliament, lawmaker will express concern about accidents, particularly the risk that accident will be around from Spur Road, around that long on table, where a bus they get for somersaults and clean the lives of, according to the lawmaker from that area, the honorable events are concept over 10, a good number of kids. And although they associate them to extracurricular activities organized by schools and educational institutions, but the fact remains that some of the most kind of way with the burden I also and by God in power.
Okay, so just with regards to that particular issue there, we see our local newspaper get something like that. So just with regards to that, you see, our local newspaper gets a story say SLP intensifies operation at Hillside Bypass Road. These are just the sideway where they talk about this. Now, not just it is the Sierra Leone Police has on Friday, 6 January 2022, continue with its joint roadside operation on the Hillside Bypass Road in Freetown, demolishing market stalls and that have been constructed on the road. So basically, it's not the side. The joint operation team was made up of the regional commander, Freetown East Assistant Inspector. So basically, this is not a demolition for clear the road for make sure say the road look beautiful as it's supposed to be. If you say this, where did you make up of this?
I hope not for the commission in what they expect shortly. It will be a process, not an event, because we don't see operations of such to come up all of a sudden and die down. So we hope it will be sustained. But again, they cancel the use of the roads. You right, the police they right for clear them footpath because most of them stores are the footpath and the pillar. So you allow pedestrians to walk on the road where they expose them to risk. We hope that this kind of operation will be sustained, particularly at the road that they will get high risk. But above all, the needful will be done in erecting speed bumps and other road signs for guiding people and the institutions that are responsible for one of the media and engage communities that know the road and they let them know to be and the dangers also involved in road accidents. For the police, kudos to them. We only hope that this is not to another direct operation. It will be a sustained operation because we don't see several of such operations well coded with names. At the end of the day, they are not sustained for even, let's say, a quarter of the year.
AZ newspaper get a big banner headline we say let me just see what they say. Let's just get up for you up and let everybody see them. It say commissioning Foreign Service Academy. President Bio fulfills page 70 in New Direction manifesto. And I'll just take again this same story from other paper. They're waiting the other paper them say. This one from Aruko say Chinese aid diplomatic academy opens for operation. I just want to get link with regard this particular story, so we go as well handle once and for all. And this one again the same story. Chinese aid construct first foreign service academy in Sierra Leone, and then you get President Bio Commission first foreign service academy in Sierra Leone. So basically this one story, then get different President Bio Commission first foreign service academy. Let me see again. Waiting, this not get anything but that one day. Let me see. Okay, so basically this one story they get different way. Bio Commission first, different way out than they put on. You follow that particular commissioning there.
Of course, I watched it.
Now we see, this paper particularly talk about a manifesto promise where President Bio don't fulfill. Yeah, other one they say Chinese aid. So. It no matter sometimes they can be a Chinese aid or a private public partnership. It can able for exist and get part of your manifesto. But what do you make up of this?
All right, so we do this program we call like media analysis program where they give you contents of newspaper, and in a reviewing, it's always a guide that when you are reviewing a content, it's helpful to know the background of the content provider, or in this case, the publisher, or what is being read here. And for A to Z, I will tell you, they already depict the angle where they come out from. They are coming from a pro-government perspective. But the question for them is that if that is in fulfillment of page 70, what about the other pages that are yet to be fulfilled? So when a journalist to be very crafty and clever in saying the president has fulfilled his manifesto promise, which is actually true, the fact remains if you over amplify them, it becomes propaganda. And once it's propaganda, then it opens questions for a Pandora's box as to waiting not be fulfilled versus waiting not be fulfilled. So for me, I think that's a political twist, but score political points that yes, the president is a talk and do, but is that the wholesome picture?
So this draw a question in my mind, as to the waiting the president's been tell we. If then he tell we say this don't fulfill page 70 of the new direction, then I begin for wonder. The president inside one of his statements and state house been come out and tell we say he don't do everything in manifesto from A to Z. In fact, he don't even pass Z. So waiting at this page 70 where they talk about, I mean, if you don't fulfill them before.
It means, and go back to it and talk about propaganda. Propaganda is not only saying something that is not true, but saying something that is true and overemphasizing it until it becomes irrelevant. And that's exactly what has happened here. Earlier on, we don't say, in fact, it was giving us extra Ogonia. And now for a clever journalist come out to say, oh, we don't can fulfill this back. Where the duty bearers then say they don't fulfill all things. It shows that the media self can be a conduit for political mischief. Apparently, with regards to the China aid, that also has got a political sweep. But let me just take the developmental and diplomatic. It shows that China diplomatically is still extending its tenterhooks. Where we see the Africa-America summit, where basically it's going to address the influence of China in Africa. China the influence Sierra Leone in so many ways, and one of these now this one we don't see so. Yes, it's an aid, it's an assistance, but in the world of diplomacy and globalization, nothing goes for nothing. It's give and take situation. So China is influencing its influence, but guess what? China exactly influence exactly the same way how they do under the APC, and exactly the same way SLP be criticized say all things are Chinese. So yeah, are the Chinese playing balls with the APC when they're in power, and now playing it with the SLPP. So what does this say about our political parties and the political commitments? What does this say about our foreign policy, which is non-aligning? What does this say in the placement of Sierra Leone in today's geopolitical scrambling for Africa? So it says a lot. It is an assistance. We'll come to talk about institutions shortly. We hope it will have the requisite funding, the requisite experts, the right employees, and students or persons wishing to come and study at that academy will be allowed assistance based on merits, not on connectocracy. So that is it for the institution, but it can mean a lot from diplomatic, it can mean a lot from a political and several other standpoints. But basically, who will take a political credit for this? A question we yet to ask, because the APC will say, now we're a beginner. And SLP can say, well, now we don't know. So who takes political credit for this academy can be an electoral issue, but definitely this means a lot. But from a face value, it shows that yes, there is this angle established that for the first time, which talks about novelty.
Why always people in the rush for take credit instead of focusing on the development and staying at the country?
Well, credit taking in politics is allowed, especially when you are taking credit for something you promised in your manifesto and you've delivered. But what is the case when you take credit for something already which was on the pipeline or was already in implementation? That's what the politicians are always jealous about. But again, it's about if you are fulfilling your promise, there's all rights for you to brag about it, and that's what the politicians do.
And we see one day about Sakamo. We already don't begin talk about them. They don't begin demolish, market stall them, then table them. around, along the roadside, the new hillside bypass road. This kind of discussion they come up. You rightly say, maybe then they do their thing and they because of the one for can commission the road. And of course, the caretaker and President Bioge for come and say, oh yeah, see where they don't take pante, they don't eat money, they don't this, and me don't can do so. Now we begin and now we end up. Then they go on for say, no, we do almost percent, like 70 or 80% of this thing. So we go get for see this kind big kind discussion they go on between now you, now me. No, you get for give me small praise because myself do me own way and I do very well. So all of this discussion get for come up. I wait for see that kind of interesting discussion as well.
And that I will not be surprised if the speech writers of the president encapsulate that cleverly by using some rendition or rhetoric for conveying that. But we'll wait to see what will be the response. But at the end of the day, if we have to ask critical questions.
Yes, the reason why, since the line don't hold on the quick, the reason why I talk about this, we see how it happened with the Maban Bridge, the Mabele Bridge. Whereas, a lot of things then come. Maybe you don't come. A lot of this, you don't come, Melvin? Okay, the line still hold up. Whereas a lot of discussion there around the Mabele Bridge, for example, and the Maban Bridge, inside the European Union saying, I mean, fund and this and that and other things. We see even inside the Minister of, Tourism come and say, it look like say the EU don't become political player right now inside the country. So all of these things, now things in this way, we look forward for see how best, we can able forget that kind of discussion because nonetheless, these are obvious things that we go there inside the speech. Because the speech writer them, they as well think just like the ordinary people how for put things in place. So of course we'll get for you say, now we start in under Tijan Kaba, now we come back and end up. They're other than they're not able to do anything. All of them kind thing and they will get for the sea, as the discussion they actually go on. Just like what I say no more. We see something like that they happen at the Mabele and the Maban Bridge, where they come and take praise, and then they say, no, now we start, now we do this, now we commission, yes, now commission, not on our drum, yes, now we begin them, yeah, now we end up. All of them thing and we get for see it really come up or come inside the speech, because the speech writer them, they think like me and you, and then they write just like me and you. Yes, Melvin.
So of course, this what we call, in politics there are two phenomena: the praise taking and the blame game.
Mm-hmm.
These two phenomena that in a way politicians are very good at playing. When it comes to mistakes or error or blunders, it's the blame game.
Yes, they shift out.
They are responsible. They shift out. But when it comes to take credit, they will begin to sing the praises.
Yes.
So it's all boils to how we, the media and civil society, they able to catch them upside and they really when they can come up. But basically, it all boils to if you have to take credit for them, how much resources should be put, waiting at the completion rates versus waiting the left and waiting at the completion rates. And above all, who that source the funding, who that provide the funding, and how the funding be provided. All of these are the factors. And for the EU and the EU, these are international organizations we always will work with governments in, governments out.
But we see, for example, I think it was the Maban Bridge. You said the EU come and say that we fund this thing fully, and then the Minister of Tourism come and say, look like say EU and become political player inside the country. Right?
Well, when you get politicians that were not straightforward or we're not telling you the right thing, if you don't go solicit a loan or a grant, you get a duty for canceling a loan or a grant.
Yeah, you need to give credit.
But if you come out, and if you give credit outside the couple come on, and wait man and a joke for that thing and day. Where wait man give you one pound or $1, they want for that get credit for that. Except it you say not disclose them. So if they don't give that kind of couple and they don't, you want to make like for say now you get the sense of make all that come out. Those things sometimes can result to administrative and governance embarrassment. And in this case, that was exactly the case. The government being embarrassed or embarrassing itself.
Okay, so let me go again and see. Let's talk a bit about the petroleum products, the Source newspaper get this story when they carry it and say, as retail pump price now at 19.50 leones. Government transfers gains on oil prices to consumers. This is the story we actually come up na the Source newspaper. Melvin they try for reconnect, the internet business. So once we get Melvin for reconnect, we will continue with the rest of the discussion. So, of course, now the government don't they say they don't they transfer gains. They don't they make lay people where they use the oil na the country. I mean the fuel na the country don't they get gains. Melvin, I be just read this headline from the Source newspaper where basically they tell we say nice small part where they put inside the paper we say as retail pump price now at 19.50 leos, government transfers. Listen, government transfer gains on oil prices to consumers.
I would like to know what are these gains.
The price don't count on. The price don't count on to 950.
What not again?
Well, I think that at the front page, I'm not able to get the details of the story.
So if government is still making gain, perhaps that's why we are seeing the surging or the fluctuation in the price. And many schools of thought don't they say government them what they call subsidy on the fuel. Now one serious area for consider if the price will be stabilized. So if this newspaper is talking about gain, then we need to know what kind of gain. Is it financial gain? Is it what kind of gain actually? I think we want to know. If we forget more detail, if the government they make gain, then the ordinary people that they suffer. Then how comes? Why not now? Why now?
But the government don't they try for say, oh yeah, we subsidize, we do things them. We just concerned about the people them. For they get enough fuel and at the same time they get the price for candle more than any other side, not the sub-region or not the even Mano River Union.
Yeah, but the price then that cannot be fully credited because it not reflects on the cost of transportation. Still, the basic price on motorbike or keke are 4,000 leones. So what is this? What is the gain? The gain not reflects on the lives of the people. Transportation costs very high across the provinces also. So I just don't understand why government is saying they don't put the price down, the price of transport fare, reflecting. Quite ironical.
So and this anytime we price shoot up like that, it actually tell on we seriously it tell on we.
Of course.
I mean because it affect every part of the society, including the things that they buy now or they produce now.
Absolutely, because it gets multiplier effects. Fear, no wonder they say a political commodity. It's political because in consequences, the social, the financial, the economical, and otherwise. So it impacts, it far-reaching.
Alright, the program where you watch right now, na Kores, right on we have na YouTube and on Facebook. We get Melvin Tijan Mansare, we na the resident and reporter na Parliament. We actually join we for late we see how best we can able for analyze the different paper them. We don't come out for this morning. We not today Monday. And of course, it don't do justice. Why don't we go into another thing again? This one very interesting. And for me, very interesting because I think this way, me and plenty other people will get interest on. I don't know if you yourself are one of the people there. But look at the modern survey, the modern MCs in this paper. You get this big banner headline. He say, 2021 Auditor General's report. ACC chief promises tougher action against defaulters. So this make I get this kind of question. Say, but the 2020 report ban are the same thing is been talked, but we'll not say anything. No. Maybe I just biased with regards to this particular thing. What do you think? Maybe I will get something different.
I think your thoughts are in line with mine too. What is change? We expect the ACC boss for not only almost recoveries they make from the last audit report. Put that in tandem with how many missing funds. Then we arrive at whether ACC itself has done due diligence. Because I know the ACC begin for me a defender when the Auditor General report, for example, for NACOVA, find out that the computer specifications were not the same. When for another institution, the generator specification was not the same. The ACC was there rebuffing the findings of the Auditor General. And unfortunately,
and call it mere opinion.
Of course, even the credibility of the audit report itself, not for lose sight of the everlasting tribunal of the Auditor General and the deputy which today we don't know nothing about. So, is that the authentic Auditor General's report where if na Lara Pias and Tamamamo probably don't pull that for me?
So since you touch about the Auditor General in suspension, I want to follow touch on this small bit. The last report when na in give problem to the Auditor General and in deputy, specifically now because of the audit we then do into the office of the president, the office of the first lady, the office of the vice president. But since them pull am and then them bring this other one where instead been done the day, but now don't take over now. We find out say this report where it come out, we don't get anything but the president's office, nothing but the first lady, nothing but the vice president. What do you think said happen?
Well, although we get to experts between and we had family Lawrence, but me said it take time for read them, but I'm sure you've been well informed on that. Well, that shows some of the fear always want to express as to is this the actual content of waiting Lara and Tamamo when they put out? And now if those areas are omitted, then it boils to the question of how authentic is the Auditor General's report itself. Before now we can talk about the ACC. For me, I think the ACC, they are only playing to the gallery, basically. Basically for the fact that they're not able to tell me waiting and do with the last Auditor General's report, so much money come up or so much money lost. They're not able to tell me who are them people like they way if they give money, what are the issues they will involved, and they are now coming out with their what I would call scaremongering tactics. And these scaremongering tactics, they don't look the old for some time, but I wonder if they for all this time around, looking at the several unfinished businesses with the ACC SSL gates. For me, I feel say even the ACC itself needs to be audited, and when I mean audited, not in terms of financial terms, although they are not above auditing, but in the way how they only unleash or unfold with their procedure as to whose case for going to court, whose case not for going to court, whose case where they close, whose case where they open, and who that they disclose and why they not disclose the people and almost like the amounts and then kind of thing. So the SEC itself cannot be off the radar screen for the fact that the way I don't doing work, you get a quick question mark, especially one of the most infamous matter we involve the ACC is that of the missing rice. Rest loss, nobody not guilty, but the rest not return. I think that's a big slap on the face of the ACC moving forward. Globally, their ranking are increasing, and I think, but for practically what is obtaining here, the ACC, they get a lot for do. May not get any confidence with them talk the way for do them, except and if it involve many people that with them perceive say they are not bedfellows with the administration, perhaps and then therefore go after. Other than that, I don't have much confidence in what will the ACC do, especially in this short political calendar we'll get ahead of elections.
Okay, so I just want to follow a look at the main opposition, you know. This then quotes, I'll go again, I'll go to Alco again. So we quote Ambassador Usman for the years, and they say 2022 has been a challenging year for the APC. Yes, we don't see this thing, and even when they try to put the house in order for actually look at the lower level election, we see petition and back don't come up, and then sit right down at the PPRC. You know, now real challenging year, right?
Quite a challenging year, but it will always be challenging because the main opposition got it wrong from the last national delegate. So correcting mistakes of perhaps over 20 years under the administration of the current leader, well, the ousted leader and chairman, Dr. Anas Baikroma, will not be an easy task against the context of you got getting reformers and you got the old guards. That is the ideological war within the APC, and how to harmonize that war, then still not forget headway out of our midst. And we send a threatening message as published today by the Awareness Times, speculating that there might not be election. Not for the reason earlier on they mentioned, we say based on the Supreme Court's ruling, but now they are saying based on if Madabio is the only presidential candidate upon the date of nomination, which is April. But again, waiting the Awareness Times newspaper not capture that even the SLPP cannot boast of being able to complete nomination by April. For the simple fact that even the SLPP, their nomination will complete, Madabio nomination will complete without a running mate. So as it stands, all the political parties be the APC, HEC, and C4C, they are not on the right footing in terms of nomination period. But the question is, they're not able to solve the problem for the next 3 months, because if they're not able, technically, it will disable them to have a candidate, which is a reality. And what's that going to mean for multi-party democracy? It will be scary. It will be a reversal to the multi-party democracy. So we hope that the APC, the big problem, they're able for give and take. They're able for put their house in order. Now, time they're against them. That is the simple fact. They get only barely January, February, and March. By April, if they cannot go with a candidate, and not only APC, all other political parties, including the SLDP, when they will hold Madam Anamo and Kran will say that nobody will nominate, then I'm afraid that factor being alluded to by Dr. Sylvia Blyden might hold sway. So APC get a problem, agreed, and whether they will address them before nomination is a big wait and see. But similarly, that's not only likely to the APC, but also other political parties, including the SLDP.
I think it's very important of who that's the running mate for Marabiu.
If they're not get something by April, as you see in the old Canada Kelly and go around, it seems as if he's selling him as his candidate, as his running mate. Then if I do it very fast, if not, I'm afraid that feeling of we are on track, God, we don't conduct with lower level elections, and we don't get a flag bearer, still might cause them serious problem, because they will not be filing just for flag bearer, they will be filing a flag bearer and a running mate. As of now, the SLDP also for preoccupied itself, it's not the Boku Sonko at the APC or the NGC where SF not get a candidate, or the C4C where they under court injunction. But the SSF your house not in full order. Let's talk about the APC main opposition. The SF seem not for go beyond the indifferences we scary and not send a good picture.
So you basically talk about the SLPP self not able to put the house in order. Well, they still get some question around running mate. Why you think say for long term they don't get flag bearer? We don't be the only flag bearer who don't the rebut, but still now they don't get running mate. What do you feel saying at the fear within the SLPP?
The fear, I'm sure the SLPP is calculating based on who will be the running mates for the APC. Unfortunately, the APC is far away in that road to begin to talk about running mates, because the process is far from that as at now. So that calculation of pegging it to what the APC get for give.
Alright, we actually don't get stuck there with Melvin in line. It will reconnect, but I think they're waiting in the try for address, very sensitive. Yes, please, I want to come back. We actually missed that particular thing there.
What I'm saying here is the SLPP themselves must put their house in order. If then they calculate, say that the way the APC pick them flag bearer and running mates, as we see the last time with the ethnic sensation around a certain ethnic group for running mates. Now the SLPP is also calculating whether that will be the same. If that will be the same, then it's a risk for them. So insanity within the APC is also insanity in the SLPP. Because if they wait for calculate their next move based on which they're going to be their choice, then that is far-fetched from the APC as of now. We make them set your house not in order. So technically, the SLPP cannot be bragging about Madabio might go unopposed or might go as a single candidate as provided for. Again, if you allow me, for that just embellish for Fabulem.
Please.
And you will see, say, this is now what I find out from the research, having read through several postings, one of which is that of Dr. Sylvia Blyden, from my own reading as to why his opposition might hold sway. Firstly, established that the Constitution makes provision for a single candidate. And where is it located? If you go to section 42, the side note is election of president, subsection 2, which says the following provision shall apply to an election to the office of the president. Paragraph C reads, a candidate for an election to the office of the president shall be deemed to have been duly elected to such office where he is the only candidate nominated for the election after the close of nomination. So this is the point, I think, where scholars, some of them struggle for establish, but this is established in the Constitution. So yes, there is a possibility for a single candidate, but it's not applicable now for the SLPP. We're not getting running mates yet. So people when they write and talk about that, the need for advance the mind to section 42, subsection 2C, which provides for that, but again, it cannot be applicable for the SLPP in the case of a single candidate in Madabio without a running mate.
So I'm going to ask you this question again. You know, if at all Madabio settle for Kande Yunkela, what in this could mean? Whose impact it will actually create against the other party then?
It gets a plus minus impact. It gets a plus minus impact if you are looking at the third largest ethnic group in terms of number. It can be consequential, especially if the APC repeats the ticket as they did in the last with Samoa and Chaikoko. Also, that is not. I'm not saying that is the reality, but we've seen the wave moving towards that end. So having Kande Yunkela, what is he bringing on the table? Is he bringing the 4 seats of the 3 seats of the LGC? Is he bringing more numbers compared to Julia Jallo, who is already the sitting vice president, will be arguing on experience of the office or in the office, who will be arguing on that ethnic bloc, although it is divisive, as we see in the 2018 between Chaikoko and Julia Jallo. So the political calculations can be very consequential here. But it can mean if they rush and go ahead and select Honorable Yunkela, the APC also will be having a big task ahead. Although it will mean say AGC don't technically die, but the APC will get a big task ahead against a commensurate candidate we will match Honorable Dr. Yunkela.
Please hold on, please just hold on for me. Please.
For
Please,
Sierra Leone and its president, Julius Maada, in the realm of the spirit, your people are
Okay, please go ahead.
Okay, so as I can wrap up on that, I say it's gonna be a very consequential one if SLPP now, because of what we will see as pressure, can rush before the APC forgets the running mates. The game always cannot be one day waits for one, but now it's like they are walking into an ambush unforeseen.
So nobody not safe at this point.
Nobody is safe until they put their house full in order by getting the lower levels and appointing their presidential and running mates.
So the running mates now will actually be the gameplay.
Gameplay and a masterpiece gameplay for the major political parties.
You think say if at all they drop if they drop the vice president right now, where now Julia Jallo, you think say it will actually throw in support behind the SLPP?
I think he's gained a lot from the SLPP. Looking at his way of politics, he's a very conservative guy. I don't expect him to be and about doing like what the APC they can do. Mind you, this is an incumbent government. Normally, he will not say the full vice president say the puts on side. And looking at the stature, when SLPP gets a big head scratching for do, who are you bringing away enough for Julia Jallo at this moment? Looking at the experience in the office. Yes, Honorable Yunkela can be a threat. But what is he bringing on the table in terms of numbers? And that's what the SLPP should be scratching their heads around. So, Julia Jallo, looking at his conservatism, will not be a problem for the SLPP if they want to treat him any kind of way. And looking at the history of vice presidents and the SLPP, it is not that rosy at all. And perhaps you don't look at the history and say, well, let it watch how they get it wrong. But, of course, they should have a plan for him. And technically, although it's not been announced, but technically he's supposed to be the deputy chairman, but not the running mate. So that is the catch. So in as much as they will say under the new constitution, he's technically the second man in the party, but not for the country, because he's not on the ticket yet for nomination as running mate.
I will ask this question based on the fact that we see how Dr. Dennis Bright very critical about this government. How Dr. Dennis Bright don't they analyze issues them about this government. You think say if Kande Yunkela finally making a decision of going back to the SLPP, Dennis Bright will actually follow suit?
I think so. I think Dennis Bright done the model himself. He get the experience. He served in cabinet. He's been a very forthright and outspoken politician. I think yes, but he will get the kind of influence as that of Honorable Yunkela. Yes, he has been a very...
No, wait till I basically they mean, if Yunkela go to SLPP, you think say Dennis Bright will follow him as well for go to the SLPP?
I don't think so at all. Looking at some of his stance, the way he don't take on national issues as at now, it will be, I think he will be the second man to come up if Yumkela is going down or somewhere else. But again, from manage the party, looking at the party diaspora strength and the belief in the person of Honorable Yumkela, looking at political parties in Sierra Leone don't have ideologies, they are only based on some personalities. It will be an accurate task for Dr. Dennis Bright. Perhaps the best he can do under the district block system, if indeed the Supreme Court where is sitting on right now, as I watch and monitor from television, then it will mean say it might, if you go for parliament, it might go to parliament as the NGC leader, but from what district will it be coming from, the western area, urban or rural, wherein we know the fight is going to be soft between the ABC and the SLPP for the capturing of the district. So
okay, since you don't bring me to another attention, I go one follow Rush quick and wrap up. Maybe you say one for gender sitting there. So the last question I will ask you, according to the Africanist president, corruption don't increase significantly after Bill take power. What do you think?
Where are they pulling the data? You cannot rule them out. We see them consistently reporting on that. The Africanists say corruption don't increase. When they challenge them, it will be difficult because they have the facts and the figures, where the sources, many people in the doubt. But you cannot take it away. But what are the benchmarks? What are the indicators it's using? Is it using the Auditor General's report in terms of cash losses in the consolidated fund? Is it pegging it to, spendings in the office of the First Lady and scrabbling? What are the indicators and the benchmarks it's using? I cannot sit here to challenge the Africanist press.
So apart from the fact that the Auditor General report will come out, but Africanist press on the Yondon they pull a lot of things them where people them don't they see where they make and get a lot of questions. And one way or the other, we don't ever see outside the government don't say their information are not true. Instead, they will say na propaganda and other things them on a just one for play politics. But they no wait for, come out and say this receipt to Africanist press pool with this receipt number, with this transaction date, that they all not true, and then show we, record for sure say what the Africanist press say not true at all.
So that's why as a journalist, outside you see the people that they pull indicting facts and figures about government and government not there for challenge them, then who am I as a journalist for challenge become a journalist? And firstly was a media outlet we deem very, very ferocious in the appetite for accountability and transparency in Asalo. I think here we need more Africanist press, and with the government get a duty for respond to them. But if they are saying corruption has increased, mind you, Africanist press, the publisher gets a lot of international connections, and I made for learn that he's writing a PhD in one of these universities in the United States. And recently, faculty came out with a statement calling on the government for left for harass the students and allow for the EU. So you never know whether they use Africanist press as sources of information on Sierra Leone in terms of the fight against corruption. So with the Africanist press and their unchallenged facts or unchallenged assertions, it has got a serious implication on the government's rating globally. So when people listen for dispel or downplay the importance of some of their publications that are coming out, and the government with all in barrage of information caterpillars, they're not able to do one debunking or dispelling or dismantling of some of these things coming from Afghanistan press, then it begs the fact that it's almost true, unfortunately.
Okay, I'll go on for all the day and tell you plenty thank you for we actually don't join me inside the program today. For we talk about different issues that we get for do with national interest, especially the one that we come up from the different paper them inside the program this morning. Well, they can go now. Let me see if we have cable for join the courts and see within the proportional representation they mean. For in the meantime, we'll end this program now, and then we will join again. Thank you very much, and thanks to the producer for the program, Wayne and Elias Sabah, we actually don't join me. Melvin, thank you very much, and God bless you. All right. In name Melvin Tijan Mansaye, we join me inside the program this morning. We'll drop this line now, and then we'll come back for see how best we can for connect again with the live streaming. Until